Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr, and this is episode 117 of the, and it's the last rule, part 4. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And here we go. The trip, I'd rather not think about it. 12 hours to the nearest airport of any consequence. Then a train ride of another half a day. I am ragged, and I suspect I smell. I did not waste time. Sergeant Ivanov, yes, the militia was so small it only had a sergeant, met me. I showed my usual impeccable politeness, though I fear was frayed at the edges. Vizier Remington, he said, welcome to Amgu. Thank you, Sergeant Ivanov, I replied. We had not been formally introduced, but I had been given the man's name. I appreciate your hospitality, but my time is now at a premium. Shall we go somewhere to talk? We did, of course, and we talked. I learned nothing, as I suspected. I pretended that a few things were new to me. If anything got back to Lord Carathog, I would now have proper reasons for my knowledge, so the time wasn't without value. I dismissed him and sat in his office, contemplating my next move. It was to go to my own source. Nothing else would do. And then I would have to visit Vault 414 itself. It was as easy as snapping my fingers to get my source there alone. Igor, I swear they plucked their names from a hat containing no more than 10, spat it out immediately. I suspect a local woman is behind it, Igor said. I thought back. Nothing Carathog had said had indicated a gender. I must admit I assumed a man. What evidence do you have? I asked. Her name is Sasha Petrov, he said. I have heard whispers for some time that she was meeting people in secret. She was never caught doing so. Also, she took 2 recent trips to the capital, he said, and looked at me as though half expecting me to have run into her on the street back home. I waited for him to continue. During the window around the break-in of the vault, she was confirmed not to be in her house, though it was late at night. I thought back, and given the time change, when I found about it, and how large the window of time was for the break-in, that made sense. Did you question her about her absence? We did, Vizier. Her explanation was that she was visiting her lover. We asked him separately, and their story checked out there, though we could not rule out the idea that they had worked out their story beforehand in preparation for the break-in. Are you holding her in custody? No, but we have a travel ban on her. If she tries to leave town, we will know. The only way out is by train and road, and both are watched. Traffic is light enough that we can stop every vehicle. Whether he was right or wrong about his assumptions, I did not gainsay him then. He knew the importance of the vault, or should have realized it, and I suspected he had other ways of keeping an eye on her besides merely controlling the exits of the town. Let's go to her, then. Igor put me in his car, and a caravan of military vehicles prowled over to her house. It was quiet. She doesn't look to be at home, I remarked sardonically to Igor. He shifted uncomfortably. They sent in a squad. Soon they returned. Not there, the lead reported. Igor looked at me, clearly waiting for me to make the call. After all, I am the Vizier. Is it safe to go in? Could it be trapped? I asked. We can sweep it if you like, the lead said. Do so, but disturb nothing you don't have to. When it is safe to enter, come and get me. While they did so, I spoke with Igor, but I learned very little. The woman was young, only just an adult, well respected in the town. She was going to marry a young man who ran the barber shop. Round him up, too, I said. I already am, Igor said. But when he got a call after a few minutes, he shook his head. The barber is gone, too. Soon the militia returned. Safe to go in, they said. I did so. The place looked stripped. True, most of the furniture was there, but it also looked like there were some basic things missing. This was not just a hasty exit. She had left with a plan. Give me all her data, her numbers, her pictures, her history, his too. I'll have to track her down. I suspect she has left the area entirely. But I expect you, Igor, to do everything you can to either find them, if they are still local, and failing that, to interrogate anyone connected to them, and report to me all information you find, big or small. It will be done, Igor said, and he said it in a way that let me know he felt it was a way for him to make up for the blunder of losing her in the first place, which it was. I looked around the house. What interested me most was the little room that had served apparently as a sort of office for her. There was a desk, stripped of much of what it would have been useful to me, including space where a computer terminal clearly had been, and a series of spaces which I was sure once had contained media documenting whatever it was she was doing. I looked more closely at her desk, which was not merely old, but actually antique, and noticed that there was a panel on the side that could open. It was mostly hidden. I opened it, and it was empty, except for a piece of paper, not unlike the one my lord had used. I expected it to be from the old days of the desk, lost to time. But it looked fresh, and it simply read, "If you find this, please don't try to stop me. I'm the only one who can do this. I am meant to do this." It was signed by Sasha Petrov. So, I was to go back to the capital with not a lot to show for it, except 2 names, a small scrap of paper which I kept to myself, and a few more questions. First, though, I had to see Vault 414 with my own eyes. And that's the end of the story for this week. We're obviously, getting a little bit closer to the end, I'd say. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and music, copyright 2019, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Persons and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.